Okay, as you prep for your kinetics lab, I want to remind you about a couple of things. First of all, you can look back at our notes to see how you can affect the rate of the reaction, because really that's what this experiment is looking at, is how can we affect rate. And it told you there's a couple of different types of things that you can use for your reaction. You could use hydrochloric acid, or you could use vinegar, which is also called ethanoic or acetic acid. That's HC2H3O2. So those are your two aqueous solutions that you may use. And that's a hint of the types of things that you could change based off of looking at rates of reaction. So again, look back at those notes and identify, when you're looking at aqueous solutions, what could you change as your independent variable. And then we also have some solids that you can use. And so for your solids, you could use magnesium, and that comes in either chunks or strips, both of which are solids. And so again, look back at your notes, identify which ones or which things you could change that are based off of a solid. You could also use calcium carbonate, and that comes in some different forms. We've got powders and chunks, and also those are solids. We also know that stirring with either of these things could affect rate. So we have things with aqueous solutions. Look back at your notes. What can we do to change that? We've got solids. We can look back at our notes to see what affects that, or we could choose stirring. So all of those are things that you could change. You only, though, want one independent variable. If you have more than one independent variable, you won't know which thing that you are changing is having an effect on your final answer. And we can't have that. We don't want that. We want to know what is that effect of that one thing that you're changing. So I'm going to use stirring as the example because, again, I want you to look back at your notes for the other ones. But you could stir at different rates. You could stir not at all, no stirring. Or you could stir once every second. You could stir continuously. You could stir once every 5 seconds. Or you could stir once every 15 seconds. Now I'm making these things up. I'm not telling you this is what you should do. I'm just using this as an example because for every one independent variable we change, we need 5 iterations. 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5 changes within that one independent variable that we have selected. Now everything else that we have taken into account in our experiment needs to be controlled for. So all of these other things that can affect rate, maybe temperature, maybe that's something that's going to affect the rate. Maybe it's the size, maybe it's the concentration, maybe it's all of those things. We need to control for all of those things that we have not selected as our independent variable. So as you go through today, try to identify what you want your independent variable to be, identify the 5 iterations that you want, and then identify how you will control for everything else. And the worksheet that you're going to be using is going to help you to go through those things and identify what it is that you want. Now, you're not using all 4 of these. I want to be very clear here. You are not using all 4 of those together. That would be a hot mess and you would have no idea what's going on or what's reacting with what that you're actually measuring. What you are going to have to do is pick one of the aqueous solutions and one of the solids to react. Now, both of the aqueous solutions are acids. So I'm going to repost the video on how to write and predict the products of acid reactions with various things. These are the things that you're reacting with, either the magnesium or the calcium carbonate. You're going to react those with one of the acids, whichever one you've chosen, and whichever solid you've chosen, and you're going to have to identify what products are formed, because the product that is formed is going to dictate how you are going to measure the rate. So again, you're going to have to go back to your notes after you've identified what reaction it is, what acid with what solid, what's going to be the product. That product that is formed is how you're going to measure rate. One last thing to think about, you want to make sure not only you've got just one independent variable with 5 iterations, controlled experiment, you know what products form, so you know how to measure the rate. You just want to think about all possible things that could get in the way during your experiment and make sure that those are set and solidified and you know exactly what you want them to do. Again, I'll post that extra video on acid reactions to give you a little reminder, and have fun figuring out what you want to do.